everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Watchlist here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. This is my weekly show where my guest and I play a little bit of movie roulette from my obscene movie watch list and randomly pick a film for us to talk about. And joining me is our fearless leader of the SPDM crew. It is Mike Hilty.
Hey Shane, what's going on? How's everything going?
We're doing all right. You ready to talk about some sad Native Americans?
Uh I yeah, let's do it.
So we are discussing The Divided Trail, a Native American Odyssey that was released in 1978 and nominated for Academy Award for Best Documentary Short Film. And that's it. That's all the backstory I have for you. Uh, so this documentary, filmed over 8 years, chronicles the personal and political hardships faced by three Chippewa Indians. So, Mike, what were your general thoughts on The Divided Trail?
It's an interesting story, I will give it that. Um I did like just how they transit so the three indigenous people that we're following in this documentary, they're transitioning from being removed from their native lands and their quote unquote assimilation into modern, or dare I say white culture in a
Yep.
way. And just how you see their anger and their frustration, um, and just how unsupported they feel. So you really felt that from
Mhm.
all three of these characters. Um, you do understand a little bit about why so many indigenous people fall into plights of alcoholism, and different things like that as well. Um, so I will give it a lot of credit for that. The end I found a little interesting because it's very much a you can't help others unless you help yourself. Be like, okay, I understand where you're coming from with that, but also the deck is stacked very much against you, so it's okay for you to be a little angry about this
Mhm.
situation. Um, but yeah, just the end sequence was kind of a little weird to me, but other than that, I found this to be a pretty
Well,
enlightening
and it's
movie.
an interesting perspective with that, and it's gonna sound like an interesting connection, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Like the movie Die Hard with a Vengeance,
Mm,
when you have that whole entire dynamic with Zeus, Samuel L. Jackson's character not wanting white people's help,
mm,
and very much like we have to do this on our own. And it's very interesting kind of perspective because even in modern experiences talking about immigrants today,
mm.
because there's a lot of immigrants who have come here documented and come in who are also very anti other immigrants is like, hey, you need to do this for yourself. You need to pull yourself up with this. And it's an interesting kind of perspective looking at that based off of, you know, people's experiences can elicit different kinds of perspectives on the world. I just personally always like to say that there's two people in this world. There's people that because they've been hurt by hate think that they need to perpetuate that hate and they should be able to do that. And
Yeah.
there's other people in the world that have been hurt by hate who don't want anybody else to ever have to feel that again.
Mhm.
I feel like we'd be in a better world with
Mm.
that second one.
Oh yeah, for
But
sure.
alas, it's not true with a lot
No.
of people. And it is interesting, especially because this is like the 70s,
Yeah.
in terms of some of these Native American indigenous people experiencing this assimilation and, assimilation to the whiteys. And
Indoctrination by the whiteys. Yep.
yep. So, and it's that kind of experience. But over the course of the 33 minutes of this film, which this is split up oddly into two pieces on YouTube, it's like 25 minutes and then like 8 minutes.
Set. Yeah. I don't understand why they couldn't just combine it into one, but whatever. It is what it is.
I guess they didn't have editing tools
I
when they
guess.
had the two, found the two videos. But like, it is a very personal intimate story of just like there's three Chippewa who are experiencing these things, and over the course of these years, how their lives have changed. And, you know, it's so interesting seeing other media tackle Native American experiences and indigenous people's experience. Because, like, what's the biggest piece of media related to that recently? Well, the two
Reservation.
biggest are one, Killers of the Flower Moon,
Mhm,
and then Reservation Dogs, which
mhm,
take very different approaches to it because one of them is actually made by indigenous people,
mhm.
with indigenous people, but also the other one is from the perspective of like, watch out for Whitey.
Well, but not only that, the watch out for Whitey mentality of Killers of the Flower Moon, it's also acknowledged that, hey, maybe Whitey isn't the right person to tell this story, but here you go. This is, this is a story I wanted to tell, but I'm not exactly the best person, but and I apologize for that. But um
Well,
yeah.
and that's the reason that it was told in a very Scorsese way through the eyes of the antagonistic white person who's causing all of this pain and suffering. Where
Hmm.
like this is very much like you're in it with
Hmm.
these indigenous people and their experiences, and it's harrowing, it's interesting, it is eye-opening and
Hmm.
enlightening to see the people from a different type of experience and background have to go through these trials and
Hmm.
tribulations and try to figure that out. And, this is not like, it's a little bit of a dry 33 minutes of a documentary, and it's very much like you're watching a documentary, a
Hmm.
very traditional kind of documentary. But I'm not surprised something like this would be nominated for best documentary short film, because like I feel like any documentary short film for the most part has to be like depressing in some way. Um, or
Hmm.
like a lot of the documentaries that get nominated for Oscars, the feature length ones too. They had what, Sugarcane that came out that was nominated this year. I'm like, holy shit,
Hmm.
that was an experience. I'm like,
Yeah.
would it kill them to have like a music doc um get one
Right.
of these nominations?
Well, so you mentioned a little bit of like the harrowing experiences. So look, I'm from the Chicagoland area, and this is stuff that I'm like, I had no idea that this was a thing in Chicago, but that's kind of why we have these documentaries, right? To shed light on some of these situations that we're less familiar with. Because you're right, the 60s and 70s were just a tumultuous time in
Yeah.
US history. And to showcase just like another group struggle, particularly one of Native Americans and Indigenous people who look, they were they were here before us. So like why we felt the need to, just plant our flag and say this is mine, colonization and the like. So, but it's just the harrowing experiences where you see just I, in some of these interviews, particularly in like the middle part when they are assimilating to like urban culture and
Mm.
just how hard it was for them, and just how whenever they're getting interviewed, like you could just tell how angry and frustrated they were at the whole situation. And I give it a lot of credit because it feels very raw and authentic in a lot of ways. And I'm glad that it ends on a note where these three indigenous people do go back to help their communities because this is a community that needs support. And the just these three individuals recognize that they want to continue to be part of the support of this group.
Well, and it's so important too because even today, 2025, there's so many issues on reservations in terms of substance abuse. And just like, I remember when Wind River came out and the statistics they put up there for missing indigenous women, it's just like, holy. and
Mhm.
just like nobody's doing anything about it. And it's so wild to me. And like, you know, generally my background, I don't think I had a single ancestor in the United States until like the 1890s.
Mm.
But like still well after Native American people were here, indigenous people. And it's just like it's such an interesting topic because I'm like, it's such a challenging thing to think about today, especially because, like, people will go up and do like the land acknowledgements and stuff like that. And like, I don't know how I feel about that. It's like it seems weird to me because like I want to acknowledge the fact that we're on your stolen land. I'm like, are you gonna give it back to them?
Like, what else can you do besides, have a
Give it
statement?
back
Because
to them.
right, right. Like, we can't erect a sign. We can't, give reparation, or anything like that. We can't pay taxes to this particular group. But I don't know. It is a small but hopefully mighty gesture at minimum, at
Well,
least.
and what was it? Lakota Nation versus United States, that documentary about that struggle, wanted them wanting their land back, that that Mount Rushmore was dug into because they said they got it in nefarious ways. And it's just this film captures just so many generations of just pain and backstabbing and all of these things. And then still, this is what, almost 50 years old, this documentary at this point, of these three people still dealing with the idea of like, well, now we got to get used to a different way of life
Mhm.
that's not ours.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to say like this is like a leisurely watch for people to just throw on and watch a documentary, but I think it's one of those kinds of things where it's like if you enjoy learning about history and other different perspectives and cultures and stuff like that, this is a worthwhile watch. It's 33 minutes. Like I
Mhm.
said, it's in two parts, 25 minutes and 8 minutes,
Yeah.
oddly enough. But I guess,
Mhm.
Mike, did you have anything else you wanted to add about the divided trail, a Native American Odyssey?
No, I think the fact that this was filmed, or this spans 8 years is pretty stark because a lot happens in the 8 years. So I mean, it's pretty wide in scope.
Hmm.
So I just echo everything that you say. It's like, hey, this isn't going to be something that like ultimately changes people's minds and perspectives. But if you just want to learn and just
Yeah.
be educated, this is a good one to just throw on parts one and two, I guess.
The world would be a better place if people spend the time to be more educated. And that's my public service announcement for today. But Mike, thank you so much as always for coming on and talking movies with me.
Of course. Thanks for choosing
Always
this one.
landing on the most interesting of movies for us, which Mike will be on for another episode soon, and it will be an actual feature length narrative film that he has seen and I have not. So it'll be an
In
interesting
the
discussion.
years in the years that we've been collaborating together, I think this is only like the second or third, maybe first time that this has ever happened. So yeah,
It's a
looking forward to that one.
miracle. But thank all of you for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What's your favorite media centered around Indigenous people in the United States? Plenty of documentaries and narrative films and shows to check out for sure. Make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding. If you want to be part of the crew, check out our website. And if you want to be a guest on one of these shows, like this one, or if you want to start your own show, just let us know. And if you like our logo, check out High Flyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. Most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Watchlist here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.